Philippine authorities on Saturday blamed the notorious group of Abu Sayyaf for the bombing of a night market in President Duterte's hometown that killed at least 14 people. An improvised explosive device tore through the bustling market in the heart of Davao City and close to one of its top hotels just before 11 p.m. last Friday. Authorities said the Abu Sayyaf, a small band of militants that has declared allegiance to ISIS, most likely carried out the attack in response to a military offensive launched against them last week. The office of the president texted and confirmed that that was an Abu Sayyaf retaliation. For the city government side, we are working on that. It is an Abu Sayyaf retaliation, according to Davao Mayor Sara Duterte, who's also the president's daughter. National Defense Secretary Delphine Lorenzana said the Abu Sayyaf had struck back after suffering heavy casualties on its stronghold of Jolo Island. That's about 900 kilometers from Davao. Duterte, who was in Davao at the time of the attack but not near the market, told reporters before dawn on Saturday that it was an act of terrorism as he announced extra powers for the military. Duterte deployed thousands of troops onto the small and remote island of Jolo to destroy the group. The military reported 15 soldiers died in clashes on Monday but also claimed killing dozens of Abu Sayyaf gunmen. Meanwhile, President Duterte in the early morning of Saturday has declared a state of lawless violence in the country following the explosion at the night market in Davao late Friday night that led to the death and injury of scores of innocent civilians. But he asked the Filipinos to cooperate despite the inconvenience. Duterte clarified the state of lawlessness is not martial law and does not involve the suspension of the writ of habeas corpus. Any punitive action should be in the furtherance of protecting the country to stop terrorism, according to President Duterte. He conducted an ocular inspection of the blast site early Saturday morning. Duterte said declaration has something to do with protecting the country and the people. President Duterte also said he expects the people to submit to searches and frisking in all checkpoints as he declared a lockdown of the city.
We know that, but I said this is not a passive state. I cannot control the movements of the citizens of the city. And every Filipino has the right to enter and leave Davao. It's very porous. It's unfortunate that this is a democracy and we cannot frisk anybody for just any reason.
Now, Duterte disclosed there are leads to pinpoint responsibility. However, he would not confirm if the bombing is indeed linked to his all-out war against the Abu Sayyaf group. But he said it's easy to pinpoint the Abu Sayyaf since the group forewarned to hold retaliatory actions in Mindanao.
We will proceed accordingly. We will investigate and in the fullness of that time, we will be able to solve the problem. Keep calm. It's seasonal in our city. But government is here with you as much as was humanly possible. We will protect everybody. We have very limited soldiers and policemen, so I suggest that the citizens also do their part by being vigilant.
The president didn't discount the bombing was the handiwork of drug syndicates. He also mentioned the Maute group members who escaped from prison in Lanao. Vice Mayor Duterte arrived at the night market around 10:25 p.m. together with Presidential Executive Staff Bongo. He then ordered the closure of bars and establishments and asked the public to go home. The Ateneo de Davao University, which is located just across the street from the night market, has also imposed a lockdown after the bombing. Classes for Saturday, September 3, have also been suspended. Presidential advisor on the peace process, Jesus Dureza, said there is a big difference between state of lawlessness and martial law. State of lawlessness under the constitutional provision is separate and apart from the powers to declare martial law or suspend habeas corpus. State of lawlessness merely calls out the military or the armed forces of the Philippines to do law enforcement operations normally done only by the PNP. Precisely to suppress lawless violence, it is to complement and supplement the capability of the PNP. It does not suspend some rights, according to Dureza. Presidential spokesperson Ernesto Abella has said that the president's decision to declare a state of lawlessness is constitutional and legal, as it is rooted in Article 8, Section 18 of the Constitution, which reads, "The president shall be the commander-in-chief of all armed forces of the Philippines, and whenever it becomes necessary, he may call out such armed forces to prevent or suppress lawless violence, invasion, or rebellion." Abella also said the declaration is limited such that the chief executive can only call out the armed forces to suppress the lawless violence. He added that it is a different case from the existence of invasion or rebellion. Only if there is invasion or rebellion and when public safety requires it, can he suspend the writ of habeas corpus or declare martial law. Meanwhile, police began their investigation on Saturday into the cause of an explosion in Davao City that killed at least 14 people at a packed night market, wounding dozens more. President Duterte's son, Paulo Duterte, who is vice mayor of the city, told Reuters that his father was nowhere near the scene of the blast, which occurred around 10:30 p.m. and afterwards was safe at a police station. He earlier told reporters that he received a text message warning him of a threat 2 days before the explosion, but didn't give any more details.
Hanggat hindi natin malaman kung ano talaga nangyari dito.
How long are you going to implement the...
Hindi natin alam kung what caused the explosion here. So kung masabi sa atin na IED or something or grenade, so dyan pa natin ma-confirm na confirm talaga yung confidential na text message.
Now, Duterte has typically spent his weekends in Davao, in the far south of the archipelago nation, since taking office. So his presence there on a Friday was not unusual, and he had given a televised news conference earlier in the day. Davao is located in Mindanao, a large southern island beset by decades of Muslim insurgency. The region is also home to Abu Sayyaf, a rebel group loosely linked to Islamic State and notorious for making tens of millions of dollars from kidnappings. However, Davao itself is largely peaceful, and Duterte has been credited with transforming it from a lawless town to a southern commercial hub for call centers and offshore business processing services. Duterte earlier on Friday shrugged off rumors of a plot to assassinate him, saying such threats were to be expected. Meanwhile, PNP Chief Director General Ronald Bato de la Rosa asked the public to remain calm yet vigilant following the bombing in Davao City.
While we are not discounting the possibility that some quarters may be exploiting the situation to create hysteria and fear, we'd rather take these threats with utmost prudence and due diligence. We assure the public of the readiness of the Philippine National Police in addressing any threat of this nature and thwarting any attempt by threat groups to sow fear and anxiety among our people. We appeal to the public to remain calm, vigilant, and alert in reporting to authorities in unusual movement or activities of suspicious persons. Any information may be reported through the nationwide emergency hotline 911 for immediate police assistance. Huwag po tayo magpapatalo dito sa mga terorista. Pag tayo'y natakot, then they will achieve their aim, which is to sow terror. So let us continue living our normal lives.
It's not martial law.
Now, he noted that President Duterte has already declared a state of lawless violence, directing the military to help the PNP in quelling threats. The PNP chief also expressed his sympathies to the families of the victims of the Davao bombing. He also said that any information may be reported through the nationwide emergency hotline that he just said, the 911, for immediate police assistance. Now, in the midst of the Davao bombing, the Bureau of Immigration, or BI, said that international airports in the country remain on high alert against foreign terrorists. BI Commissioner Jaime Morente noted that due to the Friday night's incident in Davao City, they are doubling their efforts in guarding the country's ports, from international rebels. He also said airports have been on high alert for suspected foreign terrorists in coordination with the intelligence sector for quite some time now, validating information on suspected ISIS members traveling to the country. The BI chief noted that based on initial intelligence reports, it indicated the Davao incident could be the handiwork of members of the Abu Sayyaf in retaliation for the ongoing military operations in Sulu, and they are still on the lookout. He said that they would be monitoring the uncommon movement of Filipinos to nearby countries. Meanwhile, street vendors and sweepers began clearing debris at a market in Davao on Saturday after the explosion that killed scores and injured dozens more. Now, the blast site late on Friday tore through the street market outside the high-end Marco Polo Hotel. It's a frequent haunt of President Duterte, who was in the southern city at the time, but he wasn't hurt. Now, street sweepers removed broken plastic chairs and glass bottles that were left on the pavement. Several vendors went back to fix their broken stalls, but they were anxious about reopening for business.
Delikado eh. Kaya nga, natutruma nga kami kung magtitinda kami ulit. Baka sabog na, mangyayari ulit yung pagsabog. Kaya ihinto muna kami ng pagtitinda.
Duterte visited the site a few hours after the blast on Saturday and announced a state of lawless violence, ordering the setup of checkpoints and greater police visibility in the search for those responsible for the blast.